When I was diagnosed with fibroids, no one told me anything about size, not a word. The sonographer didn't say much, and you know how that goes. And my doctor barely explained anything, just looked at me and said, "You have a huge fibroidy uterus." And that was about it. I didn't find out the actual sizes until I requested my records and read through everything myself. And even then, I didn't know what those numbers meant. I had absolutely nothing to reference it to. And so now that I'm informed, I realize size is not something they always explain, but it absolutely matters. So in this video, I'm going to break down what no one ever tells you, what's considered small, medium, and large for fibroids. We're also going to be talking about if small fibroids can cause big problems and if larger fibroids are always more problematic. So if you've ever been left feeling confused, dismissed, or even just felt like you weren't being given the full story about your fibroid sizes, you're not alone, girl. Let's get into what size can really tell you about your condition and why this matters more than they let on. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Glampreezy. If you are new here, hey girl, hey, I am your go-to girl for all things fibroids and natural fibroid healing. I myself am a two-time fibroid survivor. After having surgery the first time to remove my fibroids, they unfortunately grew back. But through my evidence-based research, I found a way to naturally shrink my fibroids and keep them at bay for almost 3 years now. And after being on this journey for a while, it was apparent to me that so many women needed guidance and support on their fibroid journey. So I've become a women's health advocate right here on YouTube. If you're looking for more support and evidence-based research on fibroids and natural fibroid healing, please go ahead and join the family. Okay, now girl, come on in. Let's get into episode number 2 of my Fibroid 101 series. Okay, so let's put this into perspective, shall we? First things first, what does size even mean when it comes to fibroids? Before we get into anything on this topic, I'd like to let you know that fibroids are generally measured in centimeters. So now that we got that out of the way, let's give this a little context and perspective as far as the space that we're working with, okay? The uterus. Most people don't realize that the uterus itself isn't that big. The average non-pregnant uterus is about 7 to 8 centimeters long and 4 to 5 centimeters wide, roughly the size of a small pear. And it's also important to note that the organs in this space are a tight squeeze as it is. So when you hear that your fibroids are 5 centimeters, 8 centimeters, or 12 centimeters, that is significant. This means your fibroid could be the same size or even bigger than your entire uterus began. And it could be taking up space inside the uterus cavity, stretching it outward, or even pressing on nearby organs. And fibroids that large can cause what are called bulk symptoms, like urinary urgency. We know that one all too well, don't we? Constipation, pelvic pressure, and of course, low back pain. But even with these real impacts on our body, size isn't often mentioned at all. And many women, myself included, only learn their measurements by digging through their medical records. And that's why this video matters. Let's now break down how fibroids are classified by size so you can understand what those measurements really mean and give you a little bit more perspective. Before we get into fibroid sizes and how having one the size of a grape or a grapefruit can really affect you, I want to take a second to introduce you to today's sponsor. And I think you guys are really gonna like this one. Labcorp OnDemand. Yes, you heard that right. Labcorp OnDemand, girl. The Labcorp that we all know and love has expanded to offer us labs OnDemand. And ladies, they are truly revolutionizing lab testing, because let's be real here. How many times have we not wanted to schedule a doctor's appointment to get a lab test done, or forget to bring it up while we're with our doctor? With Labcorp OnDemand, you can skip all of that. You can now purchase over 80 lab tests. No appointments, no going back and forth. You simply schedule a visit or walk in one of Labcorp's 2,000 patient service centers to have your sample collected. Testing is performed at CAP-accredited, CLIA-certified clinical laboratories that typically process 3 million samples every week. You can even skip the waiting room and wait in your car or outside until the lab technician is ready to see you if you're more comfortable. And let me tell you, it's quick, it's professional, and when your lab results are ready, you get an email notification and can view everything clearly in your Labcorp patient account. Same high quality testing without the middleman. And one test that I highly recommend if you're on this health journey is the micronutrient test. This test checks 6 key nutrients: vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, and iodine, and B12 and folate, all of which are essential for hormone health. And I myself recently used Labcorp OnDemand to get my own micronutrient test. Yes, it was easily one of the most convenient, quick, and comfortable experiences that I've had with lab testing to this date. I simply purchased my micronutrient test on the Labcorp OnDemand website, scheduled my appointment at my nearest Labcorp patient service center, went in at the time of my appointment, and I would like to note that the facility was clean and comfortable, because that's really important to me, and I know it's really important to you all as well, and waited for my email notification letting me know that my labs were ready to view in my Labcorp patient account. And I really do appreciate how smooth this experience was. I cannot make this up, you guys. It literally was the easiest lab testing that I've ever done. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I was most interested in seeing where my vitamin D levels were, especially being that that's so important for fibroid and hormone health. I was also very curious to see where my magnesium was, since I've been supplementing with magnesium glycinate, as I've shared in my last video. And I'm glad to know that everything is looking good. So that means my diet, lifestyle, and supplement changes have been working in my favor. So many women are deficient in these and don't even know it. This test gives you real insight into how your body is functioning, so you're not just guessing what to eat or what to supplement. Ladies, your hormones can't function properly without key nutrients. And this test shows you exactly where you stand. Take control of your healing now with Labcorp OnDemand, and get 20% off when you use my link and code Glampreezy. It'll also be linked for you in the description box and in the first pinned comment underneath the video. Okay, so now let's get into the juicy stuff. Fibroid sizes. It is important for me to mention that there is no official medical size classification for fibroids or size grouping like the FIGO system for fibroid locations. So I will be referencing the most commonly used size classifications and grouping for fibroid sizes. Small fibroids are classified as being anywhere from 1 to 5 centimeters. And these can be the size of a seed all the way up to the size of about a small lime. Unfortunately, these are typically described as nothing to worry about. But a fibroid that is between 1 and 5 centimeters is not that small when you consider that the uterus size is only 4 to 5 centimeters wide. And small fibroids can cause symptoms like heavy or prolonged periods. Yes, even small ones. Spotting between cycles, pain, and fertility changes. Even a 2-centimeter fibroid growing into the uterine cavity can cause major disruptions, especially if they are submucosal fibroids in the FIGO category 0 through 2. And if you want more information about the FIGO classification or fibroid locations, please check out this video. Medium fibroids range from 5 centimeters to 10 centimeters big and can be anywhere from the size of a plum to the size of a large orange. And in this size classification, they may start to distort the size or shape of the uterus. Some common symptoms that you may see from medium fibroids can be bloating or pelvic fullness, of course, frequent urination, constipation, pelvic pain, low back and hip pain. Also, at this size, fibroids often start to press on other organs. As I described in the beginning, this is a tight, small space we're working with here. They can even start to crowd the uterine cavity, especially when multiple fibroids are present. Let's take this a little bit further for even more context. A fibroid that is 10 centimeters big is equivalent to a 12-week gestation or a pregnancy that is about 3 months along. So this means the uterus has typically grown large enough to be felt above the pelvic bone. Large fibroids. These are fibroids that are greater than 10 centimeters big. And these can range anywhere from about the size of a grapefruit all the way to the size of a watermelon, or bigger in some rare cases. And it goes without saying that these are larger than the beginning state of the uterus. Common symptoms with this size of fibroid: visible fibroid belly or distension, painful pressure on the bladder, rectum, or lower back, difficulty lying flat or finding comfortable positions, and feeling full quickly when eating. And I realize this is not on my list for medium or large, but I would like to mention that in both of those size categories, you can start to experience nerve pressure or sciatic issues. And for many people, unfortunately, large fibroids can go unnoticed if dismissed as weight gain or normal bloating. Yes, I've seen this happen before. All in all, at this size, they most certainly are affecting your quality of life. So let's answer the question of, can small fibroids cause big problems? And the short answer is yes. Absolutely. Because the impact of a fibroid depends not just on size, but on location. For example, submucosal versus subserosal. Number of fibroids present. This is really important because it's one thing to have one small fibroid, but multiple small fibroids can act like a large fibroid. And let's not forget proximity. Is it sitting close to or on top of a nerve or a blood vessel? These are really important things to consider. So size alone doesn't tell the full story, but it does give you a strong starting point to ask better questions to your doctor and advocate for real answers when it comes to your health. And of course, we have to ask the question, are large fibroids always more problematic? Not always, but they are more likely to cause multi-system symptoms, stretch and distort the uterus, interfere with digestion, urination, and your comfort and posture. Some large fibroids grow outward and cause no pain at all, believe it or not, while others can be deeply symptomatic. It depends on growth direction, inward versus outward, or even the blood supply that they're taking up. And of course, nerve involvement, which is something that I don't hear people talking about quite enough when it comes to fibroids and fibroid pain, especially at the large fibroid category. And to me, what matters most is how your fibroids are affecting your quality of life, not just the number or size on the report. Okay, so now you know how fibroids are measured, what counts as small, medium, or large, why even small fibroids can disrupt your life, and that size is not the only part of the picture. So if this video helped you to understand your diagnosis more clearly, drop a comment down below and let me know what stood out most. And of course, if you are interested in this type of topic, please join the family as I bring you new videos every single week on fibroids and natural fibroid healing. I would also like to mention, if you are ready to dive deeper into fibroids, fibroid healing, fibroid-friendly recipes, remedies, and more support for your fibroid journey, please go over and join my Substack account. This is an uncensored space where I'm able to give you all the tea on natural fibroid healing, okay? And ladies, don't forget to check out Labcorp OnDemand in the description for your micronutrient test. And use my link for 20% off and code Glampreezy. Without knowing where you are, it's nearly impossible to move forward with your healing plan. I talk about this quite often and how testing can be that missing piece, that missing link that helps you to understand why your body is exhibiting certain symptoms, ladies. But before you go though, I know you didn't think I was going to let you go without letting you know that I have so many other videos. Yes, go ahead and check out this playlist to learn more about fibroids and natural fibroid healing. And until next time, I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to see you in another video.